20 days of the cycle. The first 20 days of the cycle will give you a glimpse, will give us a glimpse of what's happening. So it's it's a good way of seeing the future, which is what I'm all about. You guys are all about, as time travelers, as wisdom keepers, as my friend Gurujara would say, geomancers, timekeepers. That's what she called us, a new breed of people that we are fitting the archetype of. We are becoming what at some point in the past or the future we agreed to be geomancer timekeepers. And the main reason being is because according to the mathematics of the ancient people cycles, we are in a new paradigm of 26,000 years. More accurately, I would say that we are in two separate, we actually are in two separate cycles of 26,000 years, but that's going to be for a future gathering, a future sharing. So if you count the first 20 days that started on December 22nd, right? So just keep an eye on what's happening, and if you feel like doing this, keep an eye on what's happened since the 22nd and what's happened the next few days until you count 20, started November 22nd. So for the geomancy of time, there's a few things that we need to open our mind and the spirit to remember. One is being able to see different realities at the same time. Two, we need to train our mind or start thinking about training our mind to use the bigesimal or bigesimal system, which is based in 20, the unit of 20. You know, we have in Western world, we count from 1 to 10. So that's the decimal system. In geomancy, we count from 0 to 19. And that's the one of the things that we need to keep in mind. In the back of our files in our mind, we need to remember those two things. We need to be able to see different realities at the same time. We need to be able to remember using the bigesimal system, 0 to 19, 20 units of time. And then the other thing is we need to be able to use a compass. Yes, that's a spiritual compass, a mental compass, and a physical compass. And this is the three different realities that we remember how to manage and maneuver and navigate at the same time. The mental plane, the physical plane, and the spiritual plane. So with those three, we can start with finding your Kinichwa or Bawa. There's a few different versions of this number, a few different names, because we're gonna be working with the Mayan people way of doing this. We're gonna be working with the Tibetan people way of doing this, and we're also gonna be working with the Chinese version of doing this. So I always, if you guys know me by now, I always work in a triangle basis. Always it's a three thing. I'm gonna do anything really, but more emphasize when I do a trail of ceremonies or a transformational retreat. It's always 3 days, right? I like to keep that in the back of our minds too, because the base of all of this is really a triangle. And then after the triangle is a circle. After the circle is a square. After the square is a hexagon, six-sided. And after the hexagon is a octagon. And after the octagon is a space, a square that has 9 spaces within. So I'm going to say that again. The base of the geometry that we're studying is Mayan, Tibetan, Chinese. The base of it all is a triangle, followed by a circle, followed by a square, followed by a hexagon, followed by an octagon, and finally followed by a rectangle that has 9 areas. All right. So you guys know that at any time that a question pops up in your head, please unmute yourself and ask. So we don't have unanswered question. It's important that we do this because to me, all of you guys are already geomancers. As you practice it, you will feel it that this you already knew from long ago. So it's okay that I have that information to give it back to you because that's really what I'm doing. This is something that you already know, and I'm just giving back to you the basics, the parameters, and the memories of how to do it again in this new world that we're living in. That really started in the 22nd of 2021. I was saying.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely, yes.
The number 2, the unit of time 0 to 19. What did you call that? I didn't catch what you called it.
It's calling in Spanish we call it vigésimo. In English, I think you pronounce it vigésimo, vigecimal. It's mathematics based on 20 instead of based on 10. You know, we count from 1 to 10 in the Western world. Well, in the geomancy world, we count from 0 to 19, and then there's the hexadecimal version that we're not going to get into that, but there is 3 systems: one based in 10, one based in 20, and one based in 60. This goes back to those of you who have had lifetimes in the Euphrates, Tigris Euphrates area, like what we now call Mesopotamia, you know, Iraq, Iran area. That's they use 60 decimal. In the Mayan world, we use 20. In the Western world, we use 10, and it's all interlocked together in the system that we're going to discuss, the geomancy of time. One of the things that I like to emphasize is that it's a new world, and in the new world, the knowing longitude and latitude is no longer enough to really fulfill our missions of destination, where we are going. And before I forget, I really want to all of you, to answer. This is an important question that you will need to answer to yourself, and then later you can share if you want to. But in your notes, you know, why are you doing this? I heard some very interesting whys or reasons why you're doing it. You said you're a triple Gemini. So you're always in the learning mode, the wanting to remember more. So that's something I never heard before. That to me, that's an excellent why. Why should I do anything? You know, just give me more information. So all of us have different whys. I always tell my whys because I know we are interstellar species. I know we are intergalactic species. I know we are interplanetary species. So the hope is that by having this gathering with the frontliners, this is how I call you, all of you, the female nation Melanesian who show up to remember this together. We're the frontliners. We are the transportals, and there's a few other keywords that as we continue this journey together with being a transportal, that's something that we are, and that means that you can create some amazing vortexes here on the planet Earth for your benefit and for the benefit of your community and your family. And so that's the question that before I forgot to say anything else, I wanted to say, ask yourself why you're doing it. Why do you want to learn this? And then as we go in this sharing, we'll see, you probably find your answer, or maybe add to the answer that you already had, why we're doing this. So one of the things I want to make that comparisons. I normally don't compare one thing to another, but I feel like in this specific sharing, it's important that we compare the Tibetan, the Mayan, and the Chinese way of doing things for geomancy. And so geomancy, according to all three schools of thinking elders, they say that geomancy is basically becoming a master of energy. Not like in the Japanese when they say you become a Reiki master, but rather you become a master of energy of that telluric lines. Telluric meaning underneath the earth, which by the way, those lines caused an earthquake in Taiwan last, I think it was this morning. So the lines that in that tectonic plates, the lines that crisscross the planet, that's why we're working. We're working and remember how to master those energies and harmony with our own energy. Our electrical biofeedback, our electrical output that we put into the earth, had to switch it in a way that is in balance with the energies of not only the earth, but also the Milky Way and the entire star system. So that's another reason why it's worth it to know that 20 unit system, the decimal system, and the 60 unit system, because by using those, you can write with a paper or your computer or in your mind, you can think of a distance that is 20 times bigger, as if you just count with the 1 to 10 units. So this is, it has somewhat importance if you're feeling you want to do some work outside this planet, like I know, but I feel like most of you do. But what I know from Nicole in Switzerland, she has been doing this work for a while. So this would be a really good, if you're not already using this mathematical systems, for you, Nicole, you will benefit greatly from learning the 0 to 19 and the 1 to 60 units number. This is future ancestry or ancient ancestry that is here and is really worth to use in this new world. So the other thing that will be important if you want to stick around and learn the rest of this geometry, because this is really just an introduction, but I'm going to give you as much as possible everything that I know in a compact version. So then if we never talk to each other again, you already have the juice, the essence of the whole thing. And then we're gonna dissect it through other times, other gatherings, other sharings. So besides the system, the unit, the tool that's important for practicing this geomancy is a compass. So, we are in a whole new world again. I'm going to keep saying that. And now the compass, you don't have to carry a big instrument like I did in the 1980s when I did consulting. My compass was like this big, and it was still cutting edge technology at that time. But now you have a compass in your smartphone, in your cell phone. You can download that app from any service and for free. You don't have to spend anything on it. So compass is important. And what comes with the compass is the directions. How many directions we have in a compass or in a sphere or in a circle. So these are two concepts that how we're gonna resolve the experiencing and being able to navigate in different realities. We need to remember that two shapes. We're gonna work with a circle and we're gonna work with a sphere. In this way, we are going to experience seeing a flat surface, right? That's the circle. And then we're gonna walk into the middle of the sphere and see the planet, my room, the space that you're in from the inside of a sphere. All right, so circle, sphere, keep those subjects in mind that we're gonna need. And then understanding the compass. We need to remember that in a circle, we have 360 degrees. If you see me moving around, I'm expanding the sphere. And I'm also looking, I have these notes all over and the etheric switchboard that I use when I'm doing classes. That's funny. Zoe one day asked me how come I never bring notes. I just speak from memory, right? And this is why I have learned to have my switchboard, but sometimes it becomes blurry. My peripheral vision can't see, so I have to literally turn around and see what's here and what's here. So anyways, compass, directions, the circle. The circle has 360 degrees. By now, you guys, I'll take it for granted that you know that. In a compass, every degree, so you got 360 degrees. Every degree is divided by 60 minutes. And this is worth to remember because this is one of the few things in this world where space and time is calculated in a single object. The compass is a brilliant invention because it considers space and time. It's an amazing tool. You can do marvelous things with a compass if you learn how to use it. So 360 degree, 60 minutes, and every minute, of course, divided in 60 seconds. So imagine the areas that you can measure with your mind and your vision, literally having this parallel vision. So the other concept that is important when you're working with geomancy is parallax vision. That's PARALLEX, parallel vision. This is important because you decide to become a feng shui consultant and you're going to do geomancy in a space that is 300 acres. You need to remember parallax vision. So parallax vision, I explain it in a simple, I think it's simple. I know you guys will get it. There's distance between the two eyes. That distance gives you an illusional cognition of distance. That's why, here in America, I noticed that in some cars, in the mirror, there's a little note says that objects might appear closer than they are. You guys all seen this. You've driven an American car, you've seen it. This is the concept of parallel vision. So the distance between your eyes, and we have different complexities in the cars. Some people have more tunnel vision. Some people have more broader vision. Some people have peripheral vision. It seems like their eyes are almost to the side of the head. So these are all fall into the parallax vision, and why it's important, because it gives you different perspective of the distances. So don't take my word for it. You can just cover one eye or close one eye and put the finger in front of you with the other eye, and then quickly open the other one, and everything just changed in a very spontaneous but very real way. And it seems like everything moves. Well, nothing really moves. It's just that's the concept of the triangulation, because our eyes make two corners of a triangle with our vision. Your vision goes. So why is that important? Again, if you ever come to a place where you're gonna build your dream wellness center in a 300 or 400 acres of land, it's a good idea to do geomancy from the get-go. Okay, I feel that covers the tools that you need, and the language, parallax vision, how many seconds in a circle. And by doing that, then you have the concept of how to use different realities in the sphere. Now, how many circles do you know can fit in the sphere? Well, the answer is infinite. And the other piece of information I want to add to that is the center of a sphere is any given point. So keep that in mind, because these are, I don't want to call it quantum physics, but that's basically what it is. It's a very simplified, very advanced concepts of space and time. That's what geomancy is. All right, so sphere, circle, compass. Now we go.
Hey, Jose,
Yes.
it's Erin here.
Go
I'm
ahead.
not sure I wrote this down in my notes right. Can you say again, on the compass, like every degree is divided by how many minutes? And
6.
then 60.
Yeah.
All right. Just want to confirm. And then from there, 60 seconds.
Yes.
All right.
So yeah, this is the time. This is the only tool that I have found in this world that considers space and time, and it's very useful. So if you think space, what do you see in a 360 circle, right? And then so you have a space that you have in mind, but then you divide it into minutes, degrees, minutes, and seconds. You can start your mind start calculating in a very minute, in very nano distance of space and time. And that's really the goal of the geomancy, is be able to calculate very tiny amounts of space and time together, and then exploding it into as far as 60 times 15,000 light years of cubic distance. The mind starts thinking in these terms, and then suddenly it does something really cool in your way of thinking. you can convert large issues into nothing just by thinking this way. You can solve all your problems. Suddenly you can just apply the geometry that you just learned just today, and there's no more problems. So you choose to really apply the geometry. And that's really the goal, to remember that we're not really bound by space or time. We can choose to live that way. And when you live that way, it's a whole lot of other benefits that I have been enjoying for lifetimes. And it's really in this um, new world. This is valuable information that I hope that it will, well, I don't hope, I know it will be useful for any of you if you choose to apply it. So then we have the color of the directions. We're gonna work with the directions that we know, north, east, south, west, and then the ones in between those four. So northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest. So 8 directions in total. So in geomancy, it's not about just finding the issues. It's about resolving the issues in a very pragmatic, very simple way, yet a very spiritual and esoteric way. And this is why I love this, that we are having this geomancy of time, new way of doing things, because when we do this, we actually combining the physical, the spiritual, and the esoteric of 3 different very ancient peoples, the Mayan, the Tibetan, and the Chinese. It's very, very valuable information that I feel that we can all benefit from. And so it's not that we're looking for issues. When I did consulting, and I still do in practice, I'm not looking for problems or issues. Instead, I am preempting the virtues, just keep balancing and expanding what is already within my field, right? Sometimes people like to find issues or problems within the field. I don't call it problems, and I need to make that a disclosure in every class that I do. I don't find problems, I find solutions. I work with what we have. So in geomancy, we can find problems or we can improve what we have. This is a choice that I have to bring it to the table because this is traditional, how you teach it. And because there is always 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 different ways of thinking, and all ways are valid. So wrapping it down to 2 different ways of seeing it is, you can look for problems and you create your solutions, or you can look at what you have and improve what you have. And I hope that's clear. I want to make sure that you guys understand the 2 differences. In any case, whether you're looking for the issues to solve them, or whether if you want to improve on what you have, we have ceremony, we have rituals, we have sound frequencies, we have physical items, and we have a variety of other things that we can use, all of us, to improve what we already have. Right? So for the purpose of introduction, this will be like the most common way, whether it's Tibetan, Mayan, or Chinese. They all work with the directions of the space that you're in, the environment. So what is our environment? Now, remember that I said we're gonna need to train ourselves to see different realities. So our immediate environment, so it's my body. And so my body has different directions in space and time. We talk about concentric circles. So I am my first magnetic field. Then my second magnetic field is this chair that I'm currently riding. Then my next concentric circle is from here to the computer, and behind me I have a shelf with a bunch of skulls. I have the Mayan calendar. Then after that expands to the entire size of my room. Now in that environment, I am looking at a flat space. Okay. Well, we are going to work with a flat space, remember the circle? But we're also going to work with the sphere. So I'm inside a bubble. This way, that way, this way, and every other way, infinite ways of bubbles inside my little sphere in this, I think it's a square room. So environment, right? Now I'm gonna suggest to think it this way. If you just stand up, right? That's one way you see things. If you sit down, everything changes because now you are at a different right ascension. And this is another word that we need to work with from now on. Right ascension and declination. All right, so you are standing, now you're sitting, now you're laying down flat. And you're seeing, in my case, I'm looking at a lamp with a fan that has 5 space, and then I see the ceiling, right? So now I'm considering my parallax vision and what's really at the point. And I just remember another example of where you can apply parallax vision. When you're driving at night, you notice that a lot of people, they are very close to the left side of the lane. A lot of people are close to the right side of the lane. And then once in a while you see me on the freeway. I'm in the dead middle of the 2 lanes. Why? Because I remember the parallax vision concept. So I focus my 2 eyes in the farthest side of the freeway that I can, in the horizon, let's call it. And just by training my eye to see the farthest point, I'm always gonna be in the middle. Right, so that's the tip for those of you who drive in Los Angeles. You can avoid being too close to the right or too close to the left with all this. Lately, there's some psycho drivers on the freeway at the 405. It's incredible. So parallax vision is important and very pragmatic, applicable to daily life, even driving, right? The other thing that I think is very valuable, thinking these ways, using the mathematics, the compass, finding direction, is keep moving your point forward or keep moving your point upward. I was sharing with Zoe earlier, we went on a hike here to a trail that's been, stage wagons used to come through these mountains to deliver who knows what, you know, at that time when that station were over, you will bring liquor here and you will take gold from here to the East Coast and back and forth. I was sharing with Zoe, you know, with one of the reasons I think it's important for people who are seeing life at a point where you're looking for success. In the Western society, I noticed long ago that they feel, and this is a fact for a lot of people in this world, that they feel like once you get to the top, or what you think is the top. You're down the hill. And that creates cycles, not very pleasant cycles sometimes, because you think you got to the top and you got very comfortable, and I think you think that's it. We think that's it. Well, a long time ago, I started moving my point. My public vision was that's the top. Yeah, I'm gonna get there, but it's an endless mountain. It's an infinite upward mountain. So what that means is really, I am never gonna go down. I'm just gonna keep going up. So this is very useful, I feel, in business. There is no ending to where you want to get. This is not for everyone. I understand that some people want to get to a place where you can just be comfortable, and that's fine. The issue I found in the past with that is that once you get to a comfortable place, you became complacent, and then that's when you start going down. So when you apply the geomancy, this is the triangle again. This is the pyramid. You keep going up and up and up, and your pyramid just keep getting taller and wider and larger. You just keep going up, and you never really get in a place of complacency. Comfort, yes, but not complacency, not being complacent about it. So this is where the right ascension is. This what happens with GPS. All of you guys know GPS. GPS gives you latitude and longitude, and this is important to do planetary work, to do grid work on the surface of Mother Earth. You're gonna expand to outside this planet, then you need to understand the concept of right ascension and declination, which is really the same as longitude and latitude, but outside this planet. One of the biggest mistakes that physics do, or astronomers do, or even astrologers do, is when they see outside and they consider the constellations to do predictions. For some reason, the programmers of computers and the ones who decided the map of the stars, they painted or put it, even in computer programs, they put it at the same distance away from the Earth. And we all know that's not accurate. So to avoid that, the concept of right ascension and declination, it's important for you to add once you start doing planetary grid work outside this. And if you go even further, you start doing intergalactic grid work. And then even more, if you go interstellar doing grid work, then it's definitely important to understand right ascension and declination. It's as important as if you're navigating a spaceship in space, or if you're sitting in a chair here in West Hills, where I am. It's important to maintain that latitude and longitude, yes, but also very important to consider your position in the universe. And that's why it's important, right ascension and declination. So today I'm sharing with you what's the right ascension. How I can explain it to this part of the world, this part of the universe, is think when you go hiking, and then think about your GPS coordinates. You put it on your phone, and Google or Mac will tell you, oh, you're gonna get there in 15 minutes if you're driving. Did you know that the GPS and Mac both, they don't consider right ascension? So if you're coming, for example, from those of you who live in Los Angeles, from Malibu to Simi Valley, you know there is a mountain that you want to climb. But the map only considers the flat. distance. It doesn't consider that triangulation that exists when you're driving up the mountain. So in reality, you're not going to take 20 minutes. You're going to take 27 minutes. If you drive from here to the Rocky Mountains, the GPS will tell you that you're going to take 11 hours and 40 minutes, but in reality, you're going to take 13 hours because they forgot, or they haven't been able to figure out how to add the right ascension time and space to it. So why is this important for us when we practice geomancy of time? Because we're going to have three different maps, ways of how we consider our areas, because we're working with three different schools: Tibetan, Chinese, Mayan. So, right ascension. When you are looking at a space and you're going to consider the 9 areas that are in the space of your environment. The first area or the first ascension is where your feet are, flat on the ground, okay? So you're gonna close your eyes and think where you're standing, and that's the first point of action. That is the Tibetan way, the earth way. The first line of adjusting, it starts at your feet. All right. The second way of ascension is from your heart. So in my case, I consider, because we all have different heights. So I think when my height from the heart is, and then this is another flat surface, right? From the heart. That's the Chinese way, the compass way. And then we have the Mayan way. We do it from the height, from the height of your eyes. This is the third way. So now you have 3 different flat surfaces, right? The first one is a solid white. Yeah, let's do it white. The first surface is white and it's flat on the ground. The second surface, the one from your heart, remember, that is transparent and it's here. So even though you know it's here in your heart, you still see the white surface in the ground. So now you see the Tibetan, now you see the Chinese, and then you go to the Mayan in your mind or your third eye. Some people some tribes are older than others in the Mayan world. Some people use, when you're doing geometry, they use their third eye. Some people use the 3D eye. In my case, I was always using my eyes, my 3D eyes, because I like the concept of parallax vision. So you could do it with your 3D, but I love the senses. I love the touch. I love the taste. So in my case, I use my 3D eyes. You guys have the option to do either, or why not do both? I personally prefer with my actual 3D eyes. So when I'm practicing the geomancy of the mind, when I'm analyzing or holographic analysis of the space, I'm using my actual eyes, just so you know, whenever we're in ceremony or wherever I'm in a circle with you, you guys will know that I am using my 3D eyes to do the analysis of the space. And that was a really good point of Zoe making, that she noticed that I do that. I don't really yeah, you do it effortless. You know, it's a way of living, really. So then it's like, when you're walking, you have your ground, yes, where you have your feet, but you're also noticing what's happening at the height of your heart, and you're also noticing what's happening at the height of your brain, your eyes. So how do we do this in a pragmatic way? How do we practice this? Tibetan and Chinese, they have assigned colors, the color frequency of the environment. So for that, I gotta share the screen. Hold on. I lost it. Try again. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay, so if you can pull out the Google document and share it on your screen. I just want to show the 9 areas if I'm not able to grab it here. Interesting. Oh, it is. All right, got it. It is, guys. Thank you for your patience. So this is how we're gonna work with the areas in the ground. This is for both the Tibetan Chinese surface of the environment. And you notice that it's a square. That's an ideal scenario. Some properties are not square at all. Some people are missing areas in the space. Houses are built in an L shape, so that's like one of the common issues that we can find. So we need to work, if you live in an L-shaped space, we can work on that. As we continue having these gatherings, you will come back with the map of your environment, a map of your house, or a blueprint if you have one. So these are the areas that you can work. And we created this with Zoe for this specific the geomancy of time schedule, where you can see what colors go where, in which directions. And this will become more apparent to you, more common and easier once you learn to use the compass. Because this is just for the ground. Okay. This is for the ground. One of my favorites when I did consulting back in the late 90s, it became very popular. to do consulting. So one of the solutions we co-created was we found crystals in all these colors, and then we create a grid with the color crystals. And let's say that the client wanted to work on the relationships. We bring the entire set of colors or set of crystals to that particular area, right? So that's just an example. There's many ways of doing it. Doesn't have to be crystals either. It can be anything with these colors. So there was a friend of mine from Hawaii who did a feng shui consulting for the royals in England when Princess Diana was still alive. He arranged 9 different ropes in all these colors, and that was his solution. He brought 9 bundles of colorful rope and to put in a very kind of like hiding the ropes in all these areas of the people. It was mainly for Prince Charles that she wanted to do that to balance his environment. So there's different ways of doing, whether it's crystals, whether it's just a fingertip of color in a piece of paper. You can bring that new grid, that portal to any of these areas of your environment, and you harmonize this. So, but just taking a look at this, you can think of, okay, so where's my house situated? You know, where's my room in this square? In which area am I sleeping? And which area is my head going? Which direction is my head going? Which direction is my toe or my feet going? These are questions that you're probably going to need to answer. You know, if you can't think of it right now, it would be a good idea to ask yourself the question. Once you know these areas, and these are just very subjective words, you know, fame and recognition. They go hand in hand with each other. But you can add words that mean the same way to you, to your particular area, or increase the vocabulary to each one of these directions. The colors are important to start with the grid in the ground, right? So you guys, some of you practice Kundalini yoga. Some of you actually practice Kundalini yoga and Mayan cosmology like me. So the sound frequency, you can actually find what Kriya is going to work to increase my relationship with my children. Or what Kriya is gonna go increase my integration of knowledge. And what if you do that Kriya, but you do it in the right space, facing the right direction? This is the key. You already practice a lot for your benefit. What you might be missing is you're not doing it in the right space, and you might not be doing it in the right time. So once in a while, you start combining these 3 things: the time, the space, and the sound frequencies. And that's really when it just becomes super effective in any of these areas that you can think of, right? So you got the idea. Go ahead.
Can I ask something?
Absolutely.
So that would mean if you would want to increase prosperity, you would go northeast, do the Bhotakara mantra for 24/7, set up a prosperity altar with crystals that are in this color. And you would, if you do a prosperity meditation, you would do it towards northeast.
Absolutely, yes. And if you get a circle of people, it just becomes stronger. The magnetic field becomes stronger, you know.
Okay, amazing.
And then if you add the Mayan perspective to it, yeah, you do the kriya, you do the mantra, and then you ask the starseed rabbit. The starseed rabbit, you can catch him when it's in that position of the compass. So this is what I'm saying. When you learn all three systems and you combine them all and you do it at once, it's an incredible efficiency rate. So that's another reason why I really feel like this is something that will become extremely valuable for people and for children to understand these concepts.
Can I have another question?
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Please.
Okay. So from how I did it so far is, for example, if I do something for a company, for example, I always set up any altars like in my whole house. So, but if I would do it for a person, an altar, that would mean I would take the birth chart of that person. I would check the birth chart together with this information. And would I take then the northeast from your chart here, for example, for wealth, if we stick with that topic, and then check out where what's the house that's going on in the northeast in the birth chart, and I could do that also for the company birthing, right?
Absolutely, yes. You can analyze that. There's two ways to consider the birth of the company. One is the date of when the building was built, or when they put that first pillar, the first stone, or when it was approved by the city. That's the birthday of the building. And also the day when you get the license from the city. And those are three different birthdays, and you can consider all three at once and apply the same concepts. Excellent questions.
Jose, on that last one about building an organization, were all three of them, those were birth dates around a physical thing, right? It's like the first stone or the license to build the building. It's not like the license for the company. It's the license to.
It's both, actually.
Okay.
Both. And then also, if you happen to remember when was the date and the time when you came up with this idea of this machine you're gonna build, this I mean, Zoe was talking about all this equipment, interstellar equipment that she's gonna build at some point, maybe in this lifetime or the next one. But you remember the date when you the idea first came. That's really, because that's the conception of anything. When the first thought comes in, the first words come out, that's conception. So all of these dates are actually become very relevant in geomancy, all of them. The first ones always become relevant.
Can I have another question? I'm very sorry. I just find
please don't be sorry. Just
okay. So from how I see it, when you're built, like there are different types of companies. They're coming from different dimensions. So I have built different companies already in this lifetime, or if you write a book, they're coming even from other dimensions. So does it, do you apply a different date of birth or date of perception depending on the dimension the manifestation comes from? For example, I have this company, LI Vision. So this is coming from the same dimension as the Rama company. Mm-hmm. So it's in this university school dimension. But then, for example, I'm writing a book. This is coming from a completely other dimension. Mm-hmm. So the knowledge from the book needs to come, like, And I feel from my perception, if I would build an altar for the book that I'm writing, then I would need to have a completely different setup and date that I would need to take than when I do something for the other dimension, for the knowledge dimension.
Yeah, and it's important to be open to build altars in different spaces here in other dimensions and in this realm, but outside this planet. For example, we built
That's a really good one.
we built a space station in the dark side of the moon not too long ago. The other day, we ended up in our remote viewing by location. Me and Alexandra ended up in this town called Basra in Iraq, which is ancient Mesopotamia, and we paid our. It's how we say it. We didn't really pay anything, but we gave homage to an altar that was there. So things like that, be open to expand the current limit of the mind and horizons of the man. So yes, build your altar in planet XYZ, build your altar in the atmosphere in Venus, things like that.
Yeah. And my last question would be, like, for example, I'm holding, like, this is completely away from the company beings, but I'm holding here a point where I drag in energies from several different spaces. For example, Egypt, the pyramids in Bosnia, then Göbekli Tepe, which is a place where I just have been last year. And so I'm dragging in all those energies into this space here in Central Europe. So would you also consider creating rather an altar or rather a space, for example, on a field or in a forest to drag in those energies? Because I feel this is, again, functioning differently.
Well, I feel that by just analyzing that, right, and do it one way, second way, 3 ways, up to 4 ways. The more ways your mind can expand to get it done, it just gives you more accuracy, right? So if you do it one way, yeah, that's fine. It's good. If you do it from 2 different angles, it's better. If you do it from 3, it's even better. If you do it from 4 different ways, then I feel like the more holographic angles that you come from to any given point, it's going to give you a better perspective and more efficiency that way.
Well, Josh, thank you very much.
I have a question. Can you expand a little bit more on the Mayan method?
Yeah. Perfect timing. So I was about to start with that. So yeah, we have the Tibetan, the Chinese. That's beautiful. It's really interesting that the Mayan society is a matriarchal society. So in some ways, I'm thinking like the Mayan people should consider the heart, but they don't. They go up here from the brain. I am yet to discover why they do it that way. I have asked many questions and I still don't know why. We're big advocates of being compassionate and thinking from the heart, but it seems like they're like very mathematical, methodical, and rational to be doing it from this perspective. So you have the Tibetan in the ground, you have the white sheet, then you bring the Chinese, and remember, they're the exact same size, and they have the directions, the 9 areas, right? But now, in the Chinese way, you actually need to use your compass. So in the Tibetan way, the east is always going to be in front of you. Right? And say, let me add a little detail to that. In the Tibetan way, the east is always going to be in front of you. not exactly in front of you. It can be, it depends on the ideal situation that when you walk to a room, the door is in the dead middle of the room. But we know that's not the case at all here in the US. It's always on the left to the right or a little bit to the left. There's a closet there. So the whole idea is the Tibetan way, you draw a square, right? And then the east, the northeast, and the southeast is in front of you. That's the front wall. So now that you have your Tibetan way set, you're still at the front door facing in, but now you match the compass direction to the second transparent layer, and you see it from the heart height, the heart right ascension and declination. So now you really have two different versions. The perfect version will be when the Tibetan and the Chinese absolutely match each other. But all through the 90s, I did a lot of consulting, and the only ones that match were the ones we built from the scratch. Yeah, that's it. Because the construction business in the US, they don't consider geomancy at all to do buildings. Right. A little side note, in the Mayan world, our geomancy is ruled by the underground rivers and underground bodies of water, and by the ice. So now you have your Chinese and your Tibetan on top of each other, overlapping each other. One is transparent, so you can still see the south area. You can see the color of the south area through the transparent area of the heart. But it happens that in the transparent area, you have north, where south should be. All right. So the simplest way to practice feng shui, the art of geomancy, the art of balancing, is to pick one of the three. The geomancy that you're learning here is to explore the possibility of mastering the three and then combining them all, which is what I do. And I have to say to you, it's not that simple, but if you decide to explore that way, it's gonna be a really good experience in this lifetime for you. So back to the Mayan way. Now we're here looking from here, but we don't look down or across, we look up to the universe. And we look at what's on the top of us at that time. And today, we have on top of my head, on top of your head, wherever you are, you have the crocodile. In the east, you have authority. In the north, you have ego. In the south, you have fire. And in the west, you have deer. So if you're a practitioner like me, then you match the third layer, which is still transparent. and you match it to the compass areas. In other words, the Chinese and the Mayan, they consider the same directions using the compass. So now you have two etheric, the Tibetan and the Mayan are etheric, very esoteric. The Chinese is practical. Well, I happen to know that both of them work 100%. All three of them work 100%. But because you choose to use all three of them, it's just a lot more effective. And that's really the goal. Give you the geomancy as it is from three different perspectives, but know that there is a way to practice all three at the same time. And that will give you, from my experience, the best results in what you do. Whether it's mentally, physically, or spiritually, when you do the three things, it will give you the best results. Why do we want to learn this? I want to say again, one of the reasons is because through the mathematics of the Mayan world, we are in a space and time right now that we are getting ready for an explosion of ideas and technology and sciences starting in March of 2022. We have this transitional period where the ended in the winter solstice of last year. We had the last few seconds when you consider the circle of time, 360 degrees, 60 minutes, seconds. Imagine how many seconds are in 360 degrees, right? How many seconds are in a, you just have to multiply. So we left the last seconds of darkness in January, January 1201 of this year. We left darkness. And now we are in this transition into this 3-month transition where all this uploads, downloads, and ideas are fermenting and bubbling in our heads, in our spirits, in our minds. And in March of 22 is game. Go big or go home. This is the time that we really, if you're alive in this space and time today, you by now you realize that you're extremely capable and important, that you got things to give to people in this world, on this planet and beyond. And so I'm saying all of this because this planet, and I wrote this earlier, this planet provides everything to satisfy everyone's needs. This planet provides everything to satisfy everyone's needs, not everyone's greeds. So I feel that that is a pretty good introduction, and there's probably a few questions from each one of you. And I encourage you to ask now if you have it. If you don't have it right now, just write them all down and email them to me or text them to me, and they will get answered. I feel that all of us have things to do as a collective and also as an individual. And as usual, you always know that everything I say and I do is really driven by a prayer for happiness and health to all of us, for all of us. So I wanna open the floor for, I think 2 of you came a little after we started. So if you wanna introduce yourself to the group. go ahead.
Sure. Hello, everybody. I'm Sarah Sullivan. I was a little bit late, but very happy to have gotten all of that information.
Yeah, you back in Florida? Where are you?
I am, yeah.
You know, since we're talking about geomancy and the subjects, I have been predicting a very harsh winter for a while. Those of you who have been around me know that I actually have said this, that the winter of 21 was going to be harsh for a lot of people. I also say that there might be things that happen that will impact humanity for a while. And I've been thinking earthquakes really, and doing my best to bilocate and remote view the ring of fire, which is basically the place that brings the most earthquakes around. And I've been praying in all these spaces in the last few days. One of the things, I'm bringing this up because you live in Florida. So, one of the predictions that we had, the doomsday prediction, in the timekeeper, there's people like me that know the same things I do, that they focus on the doomsday events, catastrophic, ecliptic, mankind extinction type of stuff. I don't really participate in that, but I'm fully aware of what they're saying and what they're predicting. And there's a few hours ago, the biggest glacier in Antarctica, it broke from the shell, which is the protection. If you think a cube of ice and there's warm water carving inside, eventually goes to the surface and then it breaks off. Well, that happened a few hours. The shell of the biggest glacier we have in the planet broke off. So what that means really is within the next 5 years, that's all gonna melt. And the way, because you guys know that Earth is not really 100% circle or sphere, is tilted because the magnetic forces of the moon pulls it one way and the magnetic forces of the sun pulls it another way. So it's almost like, it's not exactly like an egg, but it's going in that direction, And that magnetic pulse is what causes the earthquakes, that tectonic plates to move. In the North Pole and the South Pole, what that means is the glaciers break. And when that happens, eventually, even if it's just 1 degree hotter, then it melts the glacier, and that's scheduled to put all of the East Coast underwater within 10 years, starting yesterday. So as a timekeeper, I'm thinking like, well, yeah, what's new? It's just another day on this planet, So this actually happens all the time, and we're just not really aware of it. In the past, didn't matter, so people wouldn't talk about it. So I invite you all to focus your spiritual prayers and vision towards that part of Mother Earth, to not to stop what needs to happen, but to balance what's happening, to be a little gentle in the changes. That's one of the things that will cause. The entire East Coast of the United States will be underwater. Also, what that will cause, that would be it will make a massive, like 90 million people will become climate refugees, that's already happening in other continents. We don't really get that here, especially me. That's one of the reasons why I live in the West Coast in Los Angeles. On top of this giant rust forest that's in Venice, this is it's a really good space for cataclysmic events. But the glacier, that just happened a few hours ago. The shell broke off, and that's gonna, like I have friends who own real estate in that whole area. So I am actually advising them to sell the property now and move to a higher ground. At least even if you go 2,000 feet from sea level, that's fine. The next 20 years or whatever, if it goes through with the scientific predictions of what's going to happen. And this is not prophecy at all. It's actually numbers run by bots, computer bots that will give you the exact answer scientifically. So if you have people, friends who live, and especially if they own real estate in that part of the world, it will be a good idea to sell and use the money, put your assets somewhere else and different projects or whatever. And again, this is not a prediction, this is a scientific fact. The numbers don't really, I trust mathematics very much so. So I wanted to make that part of the geomancy of time sharing, because whatever happens in the ocean or in the earth or any right ascension level, it directly impacts our body, our mind, and our spirits. So it's a good idea to, as we get impacted with this energies, really, there's also the possibility of reflecting that back with just with the knowledge that we share today, the wisdom, the knowledge, you can convert it into wisdom, and you can actually send your mind into that space and practice your geometry. And why not use some of your magic, maneuvering the elements and reconstruct or repair or ask Mother Earth how we can be of assistance to in this particular part of our existence. Because I truly know that each one of us here have the ability to make big impacts at a global planetary level, intergalactic level, interstellar level. And that's the reason I share the way I share, because I see you and I feel you that way. But questions on anything on the class or anything else we can, as far as the introduction is, I that's what I have prepared for us today, and I hope that you guys enjoy and get to use some of this stuff that we talk about here.
I would have another question.
Mhm.
So I'm working here in Switzerland. We're having a lot of, I don't know exactly the English word, right? I think it's fountain, where a river starts. Probably is the right word. No, not a fountain.
It's the headwaters.
Yeah, the where the water is coming out.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's called the headwaters. Yes.
the headwaters. Okay, so I'm working here with all of the headwaters of the big rivers which are flowing through Europe, because I'm in the Swiss Alps. So I'm going to the places. That was just the calling. It was like I had to just go there, and then I was like, what am I doing here? So I started chanting mantras. And so with the geomancy, like one place is the Grimsel Pass, and in the Grimsel Pass there is a huge city of Pleiadians. They're coming in and out there. It's really strange. And I had to pull mantra on the grid, but I feel like I'm not, something is not right yet. How do you interweave time and sound into the 3D reality? I find it very difficult, so it holds, because the other forces, which we don't really want to talk about, they're really good in destroying that. And I don't want to go up there all the time. So yeah, that would be another question.
Mm.
I did it with crystals, but I don't know if it's enough.
Well, the way I work, I have been working on Sacramento River headwaters in Mount Shasta. I have been working with headwaters in Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, and Mount Fuji in Japan, and Santa Marta in the Andes in Colombia, and then Barbuda in Ecuador. So what I have done, I built this, let's just call it cube, energetic cube with, when you use kilometers in Switzerland, so let's use 18,000 square kilometers, right? So up each direction.
That's half of Switzerland. That's funny. Yes.
So there's your answer.
Okay, good. I just built that grid. Okay, I know what I do. Okay, thanks. That's all. I think I need to go to sleep.
So you made it till the, what is it, like 5 a.m. already? 4. All right. Awesome.
Holy cow.
Time to do sadhana.
All right, I have a question, one more question on the Mayan method. You were talking about we look up above, and you mentioned today that it is the crocodile, the deer, fire, and the eagle.
Mhm.
So does that change each time based upon what's above us?
Yeah, you know, it really it changed every 3 minutes actually.
Okay,
So I'm giving that broader perspective. So think like that Mother Earth getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So the grid's still there for 20. Yeah, it's about 21 hours that the constellations actually change. But so for that, we don't consider geographically what part of the world you're in, because we always consider like being standing, looking to Mother Earth from the center of the sun, the Milky
Okay.
Way sun. So the Mother Earth is enveloped by those constellations. And so wherever you are in Earth right now, if your third eye had a way to look strictly from your crown chakra, you will see the crocodile
okay.
in the east. And I forgot what was in the middle. Was that in the middle? Yeah, crocodile in the middle, sacred authority in the east, eagle in the north, fire in
South.
the west, and deer in the south.
All right, that makes sense. Thank you. You also mentioned the starseed rabbit. Can you expand a little bit on the starseed rabbit for me?
Yeah, if you want to start following the Mayan calendar,
Yeah.
then catch it when it's in the middle. You know, it goes to the middle every 20 days, and then you can follow it sometimes in the northeast. So that is in the application. I'm pretty sure I sent to you. If I didn't send it, the Excel sheet, you can find that on daily basis. It's like an application, but it's not available like Google or app. It's just an Excel sheet that we created a while back.
Okay.
You can be on top of what
I will email you for that then.
what energy is available at any given point or
Okay.
time. Yes, Alexandra.
It's fascinating. I have a question. So according to this chart you've made, right, with the different directions,
Mhm.
and then you were mentioning, or at least that's the way I understood, doing different kriyas in different parts of the house, for example. But let's say you can only do, okay, in my case, my sadhana in one particular area of the house.
Mhm.
And it corresponds to, you know, whatever, prosperity, or just to give an example.
Mhm.
But I want to tweak it. I want to work on something else.
Mhm.
Can I? Okay, so I'm staying in that room, let's say, but instead of facing, let's say, east, can I turn around and face north?
Mhm.
And that affects the outcome of what I want to have
Absolutely.
happening.
Absolutely, and that's where the compass overlaps on the ground, and really, you can micromanage where you create, and this is the goal for all of us who are going to practice this. We create a perfect environment in the very space that we are right now. No need to buy new land or new house or cut here, reconstruct here because that's Chinese feng shui consultants or geomancy consultants. They're big into demolishing things and constructing things instead of. The Tibetans are more about let's just do the shushar, the esoteric ceremonies, and that solves it. And then when you throw the Mayan to the picture, we're about let's use what we have, yes, but also do the ceremony, combine the both. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're in a space, and now you can do your own 9 areas in a perfect the way you want it, and you can just switch, not only switch from little space to space, but also facing that direction. So yes, you built your own perfect environment in any given space that you are. That's really the goal. In my case, I have my bed feng shui. You know, my bed is in perfect position, and anything else might be out of order or semi in order, but I'm activating. That's the space where I time travel. The space I bilocate, so it needs to be, to me, it needs to be in perfect order in alignment with the universe. So I start in the bed, and then I expand out to the room, and then I'm speaking with the landlord. I might practice some of it to alleviate one of the issues of this house. House is a big house. It's a nice house, but it's an L-shaped house. So it's missing the whole area of life, you know, and it's very obvious. So we're gonna practice to alleviate that to make it not just beneficial for us, for me, but also everyone who lives here. And that's really the goal. What you do is gonna impact a lot. Your immediate surroundings, your neighborhood, and your family, your blood siblings family. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Oh, what is the having your bed in perfect order? What does that mean? I mean, what elements puts the bed in order?
The bed is my very immediate space that I designed that to be my perfectly aligned space.
How do you
So,
align it?
I have the right sequence of colors on the bed all the time. I also, my feet and head are facing in positive directions according to my core number, my Kinichwa number, my Bagua number, and this is how I designed that to be my start point. So, you know, when I'm traveling, no matter where I fall asleep, I come back to my bed. And I bring the energy of my bed with me to wherever I go. Yeah.
So for the colors, you have all of the colors, or you pick
No,
the colors that you're trying to work with?
I picked the colors that I'm working with. Yeah. So I mainly, you know, it's white for knowledge, and purple for always endless abundance to flow through me. Okay. And
Okay.
then, of course, my health. So I work in that triangle of health, abundance, and knowledge. That's my triangle.
Health, abundance, and knowledge. And the number that you work with, that's based on your.
For that, we all need to do it. So either in your mind or grab a pen and pencil. It's a really interesting way, a funny way of looking at numerology after you do your core number. So you take your year, right? 1966 in my situation. And you guys all know numerology or somewhat an idea of how to add your birthday. So you add, in my case, 1 + 9 + 6 + 6. Right? That gives me 22. right? Okay, so now I do it again. 2 plus 2 gives me a 4, and that's my my second Kua number. Okay. I am a man, so I subtract 4 from number 11, and that gives me my final number, which is 7. You're a female, so instead of adding, instead of subtracting, you add 5 to your number. And that would be your Kua number.
Could you repeat, Jose, if that's
Yeah.
okay?
So you take your birth year and you add it. Once you have that number, if it's still 2 digits, you add it again until it's 1 digit. And to that number, you add 5. If that gives you a single digit, that is your number. If it gives you 10, then your number is 1. So don't forget, that's your Kua number, your first number and your second number. So those are important to look at geomancy. In Chinese, you can look at the I Ching hexagram. Those numbers belong to you. If you look in human design or gene keys, you can read through that. It's pretty much the I Ching also. It's a more updated Western version of what it means. They're both valuable, I feel, that you can get some insight on another shade of your personality. And then this is all sacred information. So once you have those numbers, you don't tell those numbers to anyone, no matter what. Not even to me. These are your numbers. In this geomancy, there's 8 different tribes. And yeah, there's large groups of people that belong together. So just like astrology has 12 signs. And I know not all Virgos are the same, but you get the idea that it's blocks of people, tribes. These numbers belong to a lot of people, not just you. What makes the difference is if there's 9 billion people in this planet, maybe 500,000 people know these numbers. And that gives you such an edge in business and in a lot of other fields. So that's why it's important to keep it to yourself. Yeah. Why? Because each one have different triangles to work with. And again, like in the Mayan world, that idea is to embrace and engage with all personalities of the Mayan calendar and just exercise all the virtues, not just one. In the geomancy, you can use all these numbers and master every number. In other words, master all 9 areas of your life, not just a triangle. And you can do multiple. There's so many ways of doing it. The way I see it is I work in triangles. So right now that's what I'm working on, and maybe I feel like if I have those 3 covered, the rest of it are just happening. I don't need to worry about anything else. Sometimes I have experimented moving to a different triangles, and I get imbalance. So I keep coming back to those 3 that I'm working with on right now. we're all different. You might want to choose to experiment and from one place to the other, different areas. Like Zoe, what do you think? You want to share what so far what you have experienced? I know you work in specific areas, and what have you done, and what's the result? If you want to share, if not, that's okay too.
Well, like initially I had my altar corner. Like I had all this stuff on the wall around my altar corner. And I now have it around my space based on the directions to pull energy from that direction instead of all in one corner. And I even gridded out the floor, my floors. Like I put tape on my floors just because why not? You know, I'm very like visual, kinesthetic. And it's just sort of helping me like kind of think about my space in a different way. And yeah, moving energy. I mean, personally, like it makes me feel like I just have more command of my space. And I always have the ability to like rearrange my stuff. When I was a little girl, I would like always be rearranging my room furniture and stuff. It was like a really like a gratifying thing for me to do. But then to have this map is more to work with, I feel. And not just more to work with, but almost like an incentive for me, like to do it in a really constructive way. I mean, I'm still just experimenting, but it feels like it's like good for my mind. It clears my mind.
All right, thank you. So did everybody get the number already? Thumbs up if you did. Yeah. Okay, so here are some suggestions from me to work in these areas. Start with these triangles of your life. Let me just find them really quick. Okay, so if you're number one, your success in the southeast, your health is in the east, your relationships are in the south, and your spirituality is in the north. If you're number two, success is on the northeast, health is in the west, relationships in the northwest, spirituality in the southwest. If you are number three, success in the south, health in the north, relationships in the east, spirituality, no, I'm sorry, relationship in the southeast, spirituality in the east. If you're at number five, you are
Did you do 4?
Number 4 is, well, you gave yourself away.
I know. No, I didn't. I just wanted to know about 4.
Okay. Money and success is in the north. Health is in the south. Love is in the east. Spirituality is in the southeast. Number 5, there's not really number 5, but once in a while there's a glitch and someone becomes number 5. And in that case, all areas carry everything. It's like the geomancy version of the master adapter, the Yakpu. If you number 6, there's success, money is in the west. Good health is in the northeast. Relationships in the southwest. Spirituality in the northwest. If you number 7, your money success is in the northwest, health in the southwest, relationship in the northeast, and spirituality in the west. If you number 8, money southwest, health northwest, relationship west, spirituality northeast. If you number 9, success in the east, health in the southeast, relationship in the north, and spirituality in the south. So those are your kind directions that you can explore and practice with your new 3-dimensional holographic way of seeing your space.
So should we use those directions associated with our numbers rather than the chart?
Well, it's one way of doing it. These are my suggestions.
Yeah.
That you start with us.
Why would the numbers be different than the chart? I just mean like here, money is one way, but on the chart, it's a different way.
Yeah, but this is the compass way, the Chinese. So this is the heart way.
Okay. Well, the numbers is the Chinese way, the heart way.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why, to me, it's important to do both. And when you overlap all 3, that's really when you get super efficient and effective at it.
Okay. And the chart that you screen shared, which lineage is that?
That's something we created with Zoe. That's
Okay.
Tibetan.
It's Tibetan. Okay.
Mhm.
So how would you label, let's say, this Chinese way with your number and what you just shared with the Tibetan way with the Google Doc?
You have the transparent Chinese, so you overlap it over that Tibetan. And if you want to assign that number to that Tibetan, you do. You interlock both of them because you're looking from the top through the transparent one into the ground. That
So
makes
how
sense?
would you choose, for example, let's say you wanted to place an altar, let's say for relationships and to strengthen relationships. How
Mhm.
would you pick which direction to put that in?
The way I've always done it is I look first to completely Tibetan, and then completely Chinese, and then completely Mayan, and then I suggest that you do all 3 in separate physical spaces.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And also, if I feel like the person can really, because it's really important that you understand the concept of what you're doing. Until it is clear, then I wouldn't interlap, not even 2 of them.
You wouldn't do that.
No,
Yeah.
the person, your client, needs to be in full awareness of this is one way, this is the second way, and this is the third way. If you would like to practice all 3, then this will be the space. And we're all different. I have to look at the quad number. When you're the consultant, you have to know the number.
So let's say if I wanted to use this to help strengthen relationships and I wanted to use all three and I felt like I understood the difference between the three, I might have 3 altars in 3 different directions in the home.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, that's so cool.
Mhm. Yeah, and I really feel like you're honoring all the ancestors. You know, you're honoring all the knowledge when you're practicing these ways. You know, maybe you had a lifetime in Tibet, and now you're honoring that shade of you. Maybe you had one somewhere in, I don't know, all around the world, and that's really. I'm a big fan of people practicing whatever they learn. You know, it doesn't matter which part of the world it comes from. It just adds to the ancient biological knowledge, because in reality we all have the same ancestors, you know, so we all carry the same wisdom and knowledge. We just don't have our parents, our teachers didn't tell us, you know, they forgot or they didn't know, and that's fine. Always the information comes at the right time, always. That I know. What else? Anyone else? All right, for those of you who live in Los Angeles, we're gonna have a cacao ceremony in Malibu. You're all invited to come on the 8th at 3 p.m. a little earlier to catch the sunset. Right. So you